I have so many things to be thankful for in my personal life and in the comic collecting hobby, but some of the things I am not thankful for are these slabs. Let's take a look at FOMO purchases from 2021 now that we're sitting at the end of 2022. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, comic book community. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. We've passed our 3,000 subscribers, and on Tuesday, December 6th, we're going to be doing our 3,000 subscriber giveaway. There are going to be 3 prize packages, and 2 of the books that we're going to be giving away are this Amazing Spider-Man 361 second print in an 8.5, and Venom Lethal Protector #1 in an 8.5 white pages. There are going to be other books in those giveaways as well. So in order to be eligible, you need to be a subscriber to the channel. You need to like the video and leave a comment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the video from November with the fewest comments. And that does not include my 2,500 subscriber giveaway. But of all the other videos, the one with the fewest comments, we're going to randomly pick winners from there. But you have to be a subscriber. You have to like the video and leave a comment. An appropriate one. So at any rate, also follow us on other socials. Bronzeville_comics on Instagram. Bronzeville_comics on Whatnot. And if you're not yet subscribed to Whatnot, there is a link in the description that will get you $10 off your first purchase, whether it's with me or another vendor. It doesn't matter. I do sales every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And also check out my eBay store, link in the description, and my email is in the description. So we're going to talk about some FOMO buys. But first, I want to do some unboxings. I've gotten some books in, and I've been holding off on them till a new video. So I got this book in from Quality Comics. Always interesting, those stores that have their own mailers. So this book is, I believe, one of the books to help my 1972 DC collection. I am probably around 3/4, 70 to 75% of the way complete with that collection. But some of the genres are a little bit more challenging to pick up than others. And this book, I believe, is one of those. Westerns, horror, humor. There weren't many humor books from DC. And this is a nice copy. It's a really sharp copy. I saw this Young Love. This is the November issue from 101. And yeah, this is a nice copy. I saw this listed in a new listing, and for the grade it was in, I'm like, let me grab this. I like that. Mark says, "I'll stay if you vote yes." I don't know who Mark is and why there's a little photo of him in the corner, but these books are harder to find, especially in higher grade. I also got this box in. This, I believe, is just one raw book. For the most part, the purchases I've been making off of eBay are buy it nows of new listings that I think are a good deal. There we go. Batman #136. This classic Joker cover. And Joker covers always are a premium. And any 10-cent Batman I can get for under $100, which was the purchase price of this. Well, this is solid. Back has some dirt on it, but that can be cleaned up if I were to choose to grade this. There is a little bit of tearing at the bottom staple. Let me just make sure. Yep, the staples are attached. There's a little bit of a spine split at the top. But other than that, nice book. There's no major color breaking creases or stains on either the front or back cover. Basic thing is there is a spine split up here. Doesn't quite go to the staple. But this book is, you know, a pretty sought after book. I want to check out the fair market value of this book in, this looks like maybe a fine minus. Yeah. This book in a graded 4.5 just sold for $245. I got this less than $100. So that's a PC book all day. Trying to collect Batman lower and lower. I'm down into the 140s. I got some books in the 130s as well. So I really have to catalog what I have so I can be a little more focused in which books I need to get as I work my way down. I think I have like about 145 up. And then I got Comic Tom mystery mail call for the month. We'll check this out. I got a really good exclusive 2 months ago that it was the Invincible foil virgin variant that I sold for $290. So that pays for several months of the mail call. There are fewer items in now, but still basically has his exclusive. He usually has some other exclusives from prior months that are still in inventory, and one older book. There are a couple of kind of prize winners in the in getting some back issues. So this Mandalorian, or is it? I thought it's Mandalorian or Boba Fett newsletter. Let me scan the QR code and see. It'll tell us what. There we go. The books that are there, the newsletter. I used to print the newsletter. So an X Factor number 69 in a newsstand. No significance, I don't think, in that book. The one thing is, though, the back issues are usually in high grade. So there's, this was the main one, Batman Beyond #1, Gabriel Del Otto cover. I had gotten one of the exclusive, I think a foil exclusive at New York Comic Con of this. There's this art print, Black Panther. I'm not sure which Black Panther that is. Let me see. Shuri by Nate Made It. Then there's let's see, Siren's Gate. This is a Comic Tom exclusive. This is by Lucio Perillo. The virgin variant would be the more the rarer one. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 101 by Gretel Lusky. This is the virgin variant. There were 1,000 of these, so I don't think it's not that rare. And then always include a kid's book from Scoot Comics, which is a imprint of Scout Comics, Soulstream #1. So that's it for the mystery mail call. That's it for the mail. Now, what I want to get into is the I'm dropping this on Thanksgiving. And there are many things to be thankful for. You know, family, friends. Professionally, I'm thankful for my job, my health, and in the comic community. I'm thankful for the friends that I've made, the books that I've picked up. Some of the collections I got, I'm really thankful for, and some of the experiences I've had just interacting with members of the community. Some of the interactions I've had through this YouTube channel, just a lot of fun. But I'm going to go back, and looking back, I've been sorting my graded books, my slabs recently. And, man, there are some when I was buying books more aggressively. I've always been buying comic books, always been buying new books, and have occasionally gone to shows and bought some back issues, but haven't really, didn't really start jumping into it until 2021. And then there was the comic boom. And then I bought some books, and I learned some lessons, and these books I am not thankful for. These slabs that I bought. All of these books I bought already graded. So, I'm going to start with this one. This one actually isn't the worst one I purchased, but it is kind of the, the poster child for bad FOMO purchases in 2021. And I actually was thinking if I got a dog, I would, I could name it FOMO. And then if it was like, grabbing it, like if it grabbed a comic book and was chewing up a comic book, I'd be like, bad FOMO. FOMO, stop it. No FOMO, bad FOMO. And that's the way I feel about these books. Bad FOMO, bad FOMO. Eternals #1 in an 8.5. The funny thing is, probably what I paid for this, already slabbed, is more than what a 9.8 is going for today. I bought this last spring, and I, in addition to this is not the only copy of Eternals 1 I own graded. And I own a bunch of Eternals books that I had slabbed up. The one saving grace is that the Eternals are probably coming back. They're probably going to do a little bit more with them. So the book could have a little bit of an upturn in value, but I don't think any time in the near future we're going to see it reach the heights that it reached in 2021, because you had that kind of perfect amalgam of the comic boom and everything else. Now you're going to see maybe a little bit of a pattern here. Up next, this is a book I grabbed on a claim sale, and I also have a slightly lower grade that I had slabbed up myself. So that one's not as bad because I really didn't pay. That's like a book I paid like $4 for in a collection. And this book went high and it went low, and it does still maintain some value. It's What If #10. What If Jane Foster found the Hammer of Thor, in 9.6 white pages. And this book came crashing down. It kind of reached its heights in 2021, still held some value until the movie came out. Okay, now, I feel comfortable giving away spoilers for Thor, Love and Thunder. Obviously, Jane Foster does become Thor, has some action as Thor, but they follow the story where she has cancer from the comics, and she dies. But in post-credit sequence, we see her in Valhalla. Could we see her again? Now, what's interesting is that recently Chris Hemsworth said that he's stepping away from acting for a while to spend more time with his family. If you didn't read the story, he has genetically a predisposition to Alzheimer's disease, and I think one of his grandparents is suffering from it. He is not currently diagnosed with it, but he does want to make sure that he makes the most time and spends it with his family. His children are young, and they're of that age where, you're developing all the memories with them. And so he wants to spend some time with his family. Maybe they kind of bring Jane Foster back in some way. I think it's very unlikely. Now, in that same vein, I think I picked this book up at New York Comic Con. Yeah. Thor #1. 9.8 white pages. This was on the list, hot lists, for weeks and weeks and weeks. No longer. I haven't even looked up like relative prices of most of these books. But I know that this is not worth what it once was. I got it for a pretty good deal, but I should have taken a pass on that one. Up next, this is a book that skyrocketed in value. It's still a key. I think it's always going to be a key, but I did because, it has that intrinsic value already. It's probably worth maybe about half of what it was, but I do think it does have a chance to rebound a little bit. And that is Star Wars 42, the first appearance of Boba Fett, 9.8 white pages. I do have a couple of other copies of this that I've had graded, from raw books that I had. So it's still, book has value, just doesn't have the value that it did a year ago before the TV show came out. And people were, for the most part, not overwhelmed. They were underwhelmed by the Book of Boba Fett show. The most popular episodes were the ones that had the Mandalorian in it rather than Boba Fett. So the price came back down to earth, and also like the correction, it had just gone too high, as most books had during the comic boom. Now these last two, the other books still either maintain value, have a chance to bounce back a little bit, and they've fallen. But this one, I'm just going to show it. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Thor, God of Thunder, #2, 9.8 white pages. The first appearance of Gore, the God Butcher. The warning is, don't buy villain spec, because they're one and done usually. And looks like from what happened to Gore the God in Thor Love and Thunder, that Gore is a one and done villain in the MCU. He still has significance in the comics, but not, he's not a top tier villain. This is a modern book, and it's a book that people were fairly readily able to find 9.8 copies of. Didn't have a low distribution. It's from 2013, so it's not even 10 years old. So the comic book stores and back bins had this book in high grade. It was one of the, they just had extra copies that they bought. Many of them are going to be 9.8 contenders, so people were sending that book in and getting it graded, and the supply has far overwhelmed the demand, and right now there's almost no demand for this book, and I don't see a demand in next generation. Will it ever come back to its? I mean, you could look up the prices. I'm not even talking prices on these books, because believe me, I spent a lot more for them than they are worth today, especially this book. You can look at the price. You can look at how high it went and how far it's crashed. Then you can follow the timeline of, announcement, trailer, movie, boom, today. It's worth just a fraction. And to make matters even worse, I have 2 copies of it. So to sell these copies, I would take a big loss. So I am not thankful for those books. Now, it's going to happen. And what are the lessons to be learned from this? I did have success in 2021 at buying books graded 9.8s and then selling them at the right time. Raw books as well. Amazing Spider-Man 361, Superman 4, those kinds of books. And recently Swagglehouse did a video. He goes, where the easy money is over. I think the comic book community has gotten savvy to the way things react in that regard, and how MCU spec affects values. I think people are much more wary of throwing their money into these hot books. And we've seen recently with Black Adam keys, even Namor keys, Black Panther keys, they've not taken off the way other books have. Now, that being said, Man-Thing, those books have gone bananas because, A, it's a Bronze Age book. There aren't that many of them in highest grade. And it was something that took people by surprise. So if it's something that everybody knows about, everybody knows about it. But if it's something that, what I do is books that I think have speculative value, that make sense, that I believe in. And I did buy a good number of books that have more or less maintained their value, graded, or are the kinds of keys that aren't going to plummet in value. So that I'm thankful for. But the technique that I use more often now is, rather than buying books already graded, I have the patience of buying books raw at good deals, pay below fair market value. The problem is with most of these books, I paid pretty close to fair market value. I was able to get some deals on them, but I paid close to fair market value. Look for raw books at a deal. I generally kind of target about maximum 60% of fair market value if it's a book that I want and believe in. Then do the cleaning and pressing myself and get it graded. I've zeroed out those costs. I'm not paying to get it cleaned and pressed. So just to get it graded, the price of getting it graded, and then get it back in graded form. Especially for books from the Silver and Bronze Age where you're not necessarily expecting 9.8s. Or finding books that, either in my own personal collection or, pretty good prices it shows, or in collections that I buy that I think have room to grow, that the value is there. There are some characters that I was speccing on in 2021. Some of them have seen a little bit of a bump. Others, I think, still have the potential to grow. For instance, I bought a raw copy of Green Lantern 59, the first appearance of Guy Gardner. And that book was really hot for a while when they announced the casting in the Green Lantern Corps HBO Max series. They've since changed course. They're not going to include Guy Gardner. That book's come down in value, but it's still a Silver Age key. Still a book that not everybody has. But I was putting more money into John Stewart books. The first appearance of John Stewart in Green Lantern 87. And when they change course, the focus of the HBO Max series is going to be on John Stewart. So the value of that book has more or less maintained what it was. It's dropped a little bit. But that's just, a factor of the overall comic book market. Because the fact of the matter is, if you buy a book raw and get it graded, you're going to be spending less all in than if you buy it already graded, especially a modern book at a 9.8. Find the raw copies, get them graded yourself, and know what the value is. Now, the other thing, too, is now's the time to buy books because, the prices are down. And you could probably get some good deals, especially if you're patient. Avoid FOMO. So the two things are, avoid buying books already graded, especially 9.8s that people already know the value of, already know that it has potential to be part of a movie or a TV show. Avoid those. There are so many examples of, Paper Girls or Sweet Tooth, those books that were hot when shows came out, not even superhero related stuff, or things that were announced. We all know we're still waiting for more news on Something is Killing the Children, or Nice House by the Lake, or Oblivion Song. Those books. And those are books you just hold on to. Don't buy them at a 9.8 necessarily, unless it's something you want for your personal collection. I'll pay close to fair market value for books that I want to be part of my PC, but usually I can be patient and find them at a better deal. So those are the books I bought. I don't want to go over the prices because I'll just depress myself, but you can get an idea by looking at what the values were in 2021. Avoid FOMO, right? If a book is on a hot list, that is not the time to buy it. Not at all the time to buy it, because now everybody's buying it. The demand has overwhelmed the supply, and you'll probably just wait and get the book at a cheaper value later on. For instance, I had a raw copy of Werewolf by Night 32, and this is going back to last spring, the spring of 2022, right before the TV show came out. And I had the opportunity, I could have gotten it graded, but I'm like, you know what, I'm going to sell this book raw, and I would be able to get it in higher grade for lesser cost 6 months down the road. I haven't bought another one. I sold the one I had because it was at its height. Now, it's a key. It's going to be a key. And if we see the character again in the MCU, the book will bump up again. But sometimes they hit their peaks, and sometimes we won't see that peak reached again for a generation. That's true. That God of Thunder #2. So anyway, this is in the meantime. Again, if you like this content, subscribe, leave a comment. Here are a couple of other videos of mine you can check out. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.